Hello and welcome. Just take a deep breath. Yourself here. So just take a couple breaths and bring yourself present. And as other people are coming, close your eyes for a minute and just set your intentions. Got a very special time together. How do I know it's special? Well, and I know that the framework we have to share is going to allow you to feel the support, not only of your higher self, but each other. Welcome. So glad you're here. And I'm Linda Kroll. Most of you know me, some of you may not. And I have a variety of hats, but the reason I'm here today is because I have had the benefit of having a beautiful family in my life. And in my family of origin, I have 13 cousins. And at family events, we would sit around a table. In fact, we have a family event coming up soon, and I'm looking forward to doing it in our 70s, 80s, and 90s, where we sit around the table and we just ask each other, what's your problem? And a lot of times it can be funny, and sometimes the problem can be serious. But the joy of having a safe place to feel accepted, to feel loved, to feel witnessed, to feel supported is something that I wanted to share. I've also had the blessing of having addicts in my life that have sent me to Al-Anon. And in those magical courses or meetings, you have to have a qualifier to go. Al-Anon is a great learning space for your own self-care, for healing your own codependency, for being a person who can let go and let God and become more independent. However, you have to have a qualifier, meaning you have to know somebody that's an addict. And sadly, in some Alcohol Anonymous groups, they don't even want you if you are related to an addict as opposed to an alcoholic. God bless all of them. They're all doing miraculous work. However, I know the benefit that I got from those groups, and I wanted to create a group where you could get that benefit just by showing up. So several years ago, I created an agency called Inner Balance with my dear friend Ellen Katz, and it was live and in person. Once a month, I would offer heart-centered connections groups, and people would come, sit on back shack, sit on a chair, whatever they wanted to do, to be in a circle, to go through the process that we're going to go through today. And because I know it works, I am thrilled that you're here, because I could be offering it to my little green light on my computer. So when I see the names that I know and the names that I'm meeting for the first time, I am thrilled that you're here. So I want you to take a few breaths, and I want to kind of set the tone for what we're doing. You'll have a chance to introduce yourself in a few minutes. And when you do, it's very short to begin with. It's just a hi, my name is, and this is what I'm hoping to receive today, and here's what I want to offer. If you don't want to talk, you can pass. If you put in the chat that you don't want me to call on you, I will pass. But otherwise, this is an interactive group. You can be as interactive as you want. But when I put the information on there, each of you is going to do reading part of it, unless you tell me in the chat you want me to pass, and then I'll pass. And if you don't want to talk today, you just want to listen, you just want to hang out, then please put in the chat pass so I know that's your intention, okay? But I'll just say that based on the past, the people who share the most probably get the most out of it. So up to you totally. All right, I'm going to take a few breaths and we're going to start the meeting, okay? And I'm not going to give you a chance to have any questions, because I just want to show you the power of this meeting, that if you ever want to learn how to do it, I'm going to be writing a book on how to lead a heart-centered connection circle. So I will be training others, either professionals or people that just want the opportunity to learn how to do this, because it's my hope, prayer, vision that heart-centered circles go around the world, that people can show up without judgment, without an agenda, with their egos soothed by the presence of their higher self. And in that community, we can stop for a moment and pay attention to what we're feeling with empathy, because we don't do that enough. We stay busy, at least I do. And give ourselves the time and space to allow ourselves to speak for the feelings that we might push aside. Because a lot of us exile our feelings, meaning we don't want to deal with our sadness. We don't want to deal with our fear. Some of us practicing codependence don't want to deal with our anger, because codependents are brought up to believe that being nice is, kind of what we're supposed to be. So sometimes we exile our anger, but let's talk about exiling sadness, fear, and hurt. And we don't speak about those very much. Instead of doing that, we push them aside and we go out into the world and we manage. And a lot of us manage in a lot of wonderful ways. We're caretakers, we're nice, we're pleasing, we're smart, we're good mothers, we're fathers, we're good husbands and wives, we're good at our jobs, and we're managing our lives as best we can. But underlying the way we manage are still those feelings from maybe our family of origin, maybe our teens, that we're not dealing with. So when we can't manage to kind of live our lives the way we think we should, because we have all these feelings that we're not acknowledging, then what we do is we get extreme in some ways. So my favorite way of getting extreme is to turn my phone on and zone out on Facebook Reels for much too long a time, or I'll go to the kitchen and find something sugary, or I'll put my head in my computer and not come out for hours, because those extreme behaviors keep me from being able to acknowledge what I might be sad about, what I might be afraid about, or what I'm choosing to ignore. So this is a safe place to get to your higher self. And what does it mean to have a higher self? Well, I'm an IFS therapist, and in internal family systems, we talk about self as the calm, clear, compassionate center of who you are. So you know what I'm talking about? When you're in self, you are calm, you are clear, you are compassionate, curious, confident, courageous, connected, all those C words, and I add grateful. So what we're doing today is allowing ourselves to pause, breathe, acknowledge to ourselves what we're feeling, not thinking, not judging, not doing. And not sharing our stories necessarily. And it's not that sharing stories isn't healing, because it is. And sometimes if there's been a trauma or something you need to process, finding a space to share your stories in therapy, in a different group, with a friend, a relative, is very important. But that's not what we do here today, because we don't have time, actually. So the stories are individual to you, but the feelings that you have about your stories are universal. And that's how we connect, because we don't have to be extreme. We can take a break from managing our lives, even if it's just for now, and we can acknowledge those exiled feelings underneath. And just because I have them here, I'll use them. I don't always, but here they are. We have inner children. We each have inner children, and they have feelings from their family of origin. And sometimes, forgive the generic, guys might try to look cool and girls might try to be codependent, or vice versa. And then when we don't get our needs met, we do this, or some of us put our head down and ignore what we're talking about. But certainly in relationships, we often have this guy fighting with this guy because our needs aren't being met. So we're not doing any of that today. Instead, we're asking all of our parts to trust us and trust this group. And we're going to speak for whatever feelings we don't allow ourselves to speak for, if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. Just listen, because I am sure that it's not what I'm going to say today that's going to be important. It's probably what you're going to hear from somebody else. And when you want to share what you're thinking with someone else, and we'll get further into this, but I'm just giving you an overview. For instance, let's say Jan says something and I have a suggestion for Jan that I think might help her. Instead of saying, Jan, here's what I think, I turn it around and I put my name on it. So I say Linda, and then I share, because often the advice that we give others is the one we most need to hear. So it sounds a little tricky, it sounds a little funky, but are you ready to start?